I really feel like Victor has created a story that's an archetype, that this is a story of those two kids going down that lonely country road and running into some kind of wild, mystical thing.
After a summer of watching The Blair Witch and The Sixth Sense, and remembering that these were the kinds of movies that I made in high school and joyously made in high school and never thought of making any other kind of film, that I should really write my monster movie. And Jeepers Creepers just kind of leapt out of that. And I grew up watching the old Universal movies. I'm not from the Freddy generation or from the Friday the 13th generation. I'm too old for that. My brother and I would watch creature features with Bob Wilkins was our host, and we'd watch Creature from the Black Lagoon and Dracula and Frankenstein and all the old Universal monster movies, which were based more on suspense and shadows on the wall, which, even though Jeepers Creepers will have a few graphic moments, we've tried hard not to really predicate it on gore, but rather on suspense and on images that would be hard to forget, just because they're sort of unnerving and indelible. I like devoting my time to one or two characters. In fact, if you look at any of my films, you'll see that I like to stick to one person. He's usually a person close to my own sensibilities, because I know and trust his reactions, and I think I can authentically portray his or her journey through the film. Derry, who's the younger brother, you know, I had no problem writing him because he felt so much like me. But the older sister, and I do have an older sister, and this is partially based on her because she is a very strong and smart survivor. I don't think I wrote her to her full potential, and Gina Phillips, who plays her, came in and she wasn't going to let me get away with any false moments. She became Trish and said, no, Trish really wouldn't do this. Wouldn't she do this and this? And she didn't make her part grow out of some kind of ego. She made her part grow because she was absolutely right. This is not a person who would stand by and watch this happen. She'd be more active in this. She'd be more assertive here. That's an example of how my own limitations as a writer are forgiven because of the talents of casting smart. We wanted to read everyone, and we boiled it down from about, I would say, at least 70 or 80 girls in town to two really gifted ones that we felt just played for real instead of posed.
You just said you didn't know everything. Now just what the hell are you full of shit about, and what aren't you, okay?
You think this is some kind of fun for me?
Just cut the bullshit. Tell us what the hell you're trying to do!
Derry starts as a very light, open, innocent kind of character. And mine, Trish from the beginning, is a bit cynical. She's wounded. She's just broken up with her boyfriend, who's done some not so nice things to her. And I think she's been wounded by a man or two, and she has lots of walls up, and she's much guarded, more guarded than he is. And she's, you know, kind of tough and guarded and very preoccupied and very pensive. I actually asked myself 100 questions I wrote down, and then wrote hundreds of pages for about a month, 6 weeks of just writing about her and thinking about her and figuring what her favorite music was and what things that are totally not in the script but just help me connect to her, so that way I feel like I know who she is. I'm confident in her shoes. No matter what's thrown at me, I don't have to think, oh, what would Trish do in this situation? I know what Trish would do in that situation.
I've never really gotten to do anything like this. I've done a little running around in movies, but never like this. And I've always wanted to be in a horror movie. I've always wanted to do stuff like this because it's just cool. It's a very childish level. It's just cool to be able to run away from a bad guy. Just knowing that this is his brainchild and it's his creation and it's his thing, you know, and from the beginning, I remember when I first met him for the audition, it was unlike any other audition because before I even started reading, he spent a lot of time really just talking to me he made me very comfortable, very relaxed.
But I'll tell them, it's none of your goddamn business.
Honk, honk.
Jesus, Derry!
Honk.
What's this guy trying to do?
Honk,
Just get out of his way.
honk.
Well, he's nuts! Get out of his way, Derry!
Honk. And now he almost runs you off the road and goes swishing past.
What the hell is his problem?
I love the fact that it's a brother-sister relationship instead of your normal, you know, romantic relationship. It's not a love interest. And he's wonderful. Justin, I just adore him. From the second he walked in the room, I auditioned with different guys, and they had me read with a few different young men. And when Justin walked in, it was like an immediate spark. One of those things where right away we felt like brother and sister, and it just everything came off the pages, and it was wonderful.
You can't call it now.
My ass!
You have to call it when you see it.
I was in shark! I don't remember there being so many rules to this game. Of course, when there was, you were the one making them, weren't you? I was Junior Nazi.
If you cast really smart and you've got people who really inhabit the characters and come up with really good suggestions that are still on the same page as your story, they help it grow and change into something even more authentic. I learned it from you. Why don't you just, I told you I learned it from you and pick it, because you're going to come around the side here anyway. You just kind of Studios used to be afraid to use writer-directors because they felt that the writers were so in love with their words that once they got onto the set, they wouldn't be able to let anything go or anything change. Now it's like the industry has changed. It's like they want writer-directors, but I think the important part of being a writer-director is being able to know that the writing is the first stage, and you're a proud papa, but in the next stage, you have to be a responsible parent and let that story grow and change and become something that might be outside what you wanted it to be.
What's really difficult is shooting scenes, like I said, in piecemeal, and having to physically get your heart up to a state of you know, shock and trauma. So I do a lot of running around before and a lot of push-ups just to get, you know, the blood flowing and the blood pumping, like visibly shaking. It's one thing to feel that, but it's another, it has to be a physical thing. The whole body's got to be involved.
Having the director also be the writer, when something's not working or he has to change something because suddenly the weather's changed, he rewrites the scene like this. He makes it work. He wants our opinions. He wants our input. If I have an idea, there's never a moment where he's like, well, it's different than my line. He wants whatever's best for the movie, whatever's best for the characters.
What if it was you, instead of looking away, stare him down for that pregnant moment and see how that plays, okay? You're doing great, though. Both things.
I think names get in the way of a story like this. But I love the idea that these kids are just breaking.
Off camera almost, Josh, but you're great. But we're on you and we're buying it 100%.
Thanks to Francis, we have the autonomy to hire whoever we wanted, which is rare. And I was thrilled that we got fresh faces and really, really gifted ones.
I met with Victor and he said, here's the script. And he said, just go home and read it. So I did, and I loved it. I was like riveted by it. I was like, oh my God, this is a really good monster movie. It's not like a psychological thriller. It's not, you know, a teen slasher movie. It's a monster movie, and it's serious.
I was going to hire Brad to do some storyboarding, basically. Well, Brad came in the first day, and he had 3 or 4 pictures of the creature based on the script. And they were so fantastic. In fact, the first one we saw was just so awesome that we immediately emailed it to Francis, who emailed us back and said, oh my God, this is great.
That was a part of the script at the cat lady's house, and she says that one line, that ain't my scarecrow. And I thought that was really gothic, this image of this guy standing in front of this old, rotted scarecrow. That was just like the essence of how dark and ragged this character was, that he would blend into the scarecrow. I grew up in Nebraska, and, you know, with rolling cornfields in the middle of nowhere, and like, you know, picket fences and barbed wire and old trees and all that kind of stuff, just like barren fields and just old houses and things that you just see driving around Nebraska. And there's a certain eeriness to all of that.
What if a man who wasn't a man could dress in such a way that you would think he was until he got right up close to you and you saw that he was not a man at all?
Yeah, the creeper himself, the way he was described in the script, where he at first appeared like an old man in ragged clothing. And on closer inspection, you find out that there's something wrong with him. He looked like an old man at first, but there was like this eeriness about his face where you look like it's not quite right. And then, of course, the longer you looked, the more you realize there's something really different and strange and wrong with what this individual is. Victor was so clever in revealing more and more of the creature as you go through the film. It's not just that guy in an old coat. He changes and he morphs, and there's always something else going on with the creature than you know. He flies, he must be a vampire, he's got wings. And then you see him with his clothes off, he's got a reptile's body, he's got these huge leathery wings, he's like a gargoyle. I mean, well, okay, there's gotta be one more step beyond that where you don't know what he is. That was like, I think, the biggest treat, to create a movie monster that you didn't recognize from somewhere else. That was like, oh, that's like weird and new, you know. That's so wonderful for a horror movie fan to see that and go, wow, something fresh. Somebody put the effort into doing something new and fresh. Giving less information about the creeper than just like saying, here's exactly what he is, and you know exactly what he's going to do and how he works and all the rules about it, leaving him vague and leaving him mysterious, and you only get little suggestions of what he is or what he isn't, and that makes it all the more scary because you don't know what he's going to do, you don't know how to stop him, you don't know why he's coming after you, you don't know what he wants. You know, it's just this complete, horrible, dark force you know nothing about. In the script, he's got a workman's table in there with stuff on it. And when we were talking about what the set was going to look like, Victor was getting into, like, the creeper is an artist. And originally we had, like, this drawing of this big wood table. And I had him look like he had carved up the legs and the front half of the table, and the rest of it was still just wood planks. And on the top of the table, he had carved in this demonic thing, which at first in the film you'd go, wow, that's like, you know, some satanic symbol. Because at first, at this point in the movie, you just think he's a serial killer or something. He's, you know, dumping bodies down this hole behind the church. He's a serial killer. And look, he's carved like some kind of Satan thing into this table, you know. He's a devil-worshipping maniac. But then by the end of the movie, if you remember the table, you're going to go, hey, that's not the devil he's carved into the table, that's a self-portrait. So this is his artist's self-portrait of himself, you know, in the table. It's got his face open. It's a stylized thing, but it's all there if you look at it really fast. Ever since I was a little kid, I was drawing monsters. I was like, the first things I ever drew were like monsters. And to be able to have like drawn a monster and to have somebody come in and say, oh yeah, this is nice, we're going to now make it into a real thing. And then step by step, see like the costume people come in and say, yeah, this is the clothes it's going to wear, and these are the boots and the pants and the shirt and all that kind of stuff. And then the makeup effects guys come in and say, this is how we're going to sculpt it, and this is what the back of the head's going to look like. And then see the actor come in, and this is how it's all going to fit on him, and this is the way it's going to walk, and this is the way it's going to have an attitude. And then to see it turn into this living, breathing creature, I mean, it's just amazing. It's just awesome. I mean, it's like, the pinnacle of any horror movie fan is to see a monster that you drew turn into a living, breathing thing. And I'd go and I'd talk to Breck in between takes sometimes, and he'd be in this huge, great, gothic monster makeup. And a little kid inside me would be jumping up and down going, it's the monster! It's the monster! And all excited. I'm trying to act cool and around him, and he's like, having all this patience with me, I'm the monster, and he's telling me about other projects he's working on, and, and it was like, his voice coming out of this really scary, horrific, gothic monster was just great. I mean, it was just surreal. It was wonderful. There's nothing else like it. If you have a chance to do it, you should try it. It has horns. If you're looking up at it, those three little lights at the top are horns. It's a lot like a medieval helmet, almost, of some dark knight. It's got like these weird blacked out visor with these horns on the front and this metal grill of a mouth. And it's, it's just this really demonic looking thing.
They originally wanted a van, but they couldn't find a van that looked as menacing as this truck, so they went ahead and built a back to it. I've got plenty of room in the back there to hang all my weapons of destruction and do all my gathering of bodies.
We were still in Los Angeles in production. I was driving around, and I think going into work one day to do more boarding, and this old van drove by me. And it was really old, and the paint on it was all messed up. And it was like rusted, and there was like this strange work rail welded to the side of it, and there's like all decayed and strange. And I saw that and I was like, wow, that's like, that's like the Creeper's truck, something this disgusting.
The cab that I absolutely loved for the front of the Creeper van was from a Rio truck from the late 1940s. It was from a flatbed truck, so my production designer, Stephen Legler, needed to design a box for the back to turn it into a van. While our transportation department worked on the mechanics of the truck, putting the pieces from several junkyards back together, Stephen had a set and effects shop in Orlando build the box and rear doors, and did what Stephen called the scenic painting, distressing them to look old and rusty and nasty. Stephen built 3 creeper vans, all matching, and 2 of which ran. One had the original engine, and another had a souped-up V8 with an automatic transmission used for the chase and stunt shots.
Please speed, and action cars, action cars.
My memories of the Chevys and the creeper van are only that they rarely worked. More than a few takes were scrubbed because 1 or 2 of them just plain puttered out. In 1971, I must have been 12 or 13, Duel was a movie of the week. And I don't think consciously I was going, okay, I'm going to do my little version of Duel here in the first act of my movie. But once I saw the dailies of the big old truck coming up and going back and forth, I just said, oh my God, I'm doing Duel. I'm making Duel.
I play a killer, basically, a bad dude. You know, I've been tracking people for centuries, and I'm an enigma of sorts. You know, nobody really knows exactly what I am in the film.
Darwin would love this guy. I mean, he's just a higher up on the food chain, and he's doing what he's got to do. You know, now that you mention it, he's not such a bad guy after all.
It's not all that often that a director or a producer will ask the makeup artist or the makeup effects artist their opinion on something. They'll just say, when can we have this? When they were doing their casting, their tests, when they were interviewing different actors to do it, they actually asked me my opinions on who they were thinking on choosing, and naturally they went with Jonathan Breck. He had a lot of charisma, and I thought he had a great look.
Like most auditions, 95% of the people aren't even in the ballpark. 4% are, yeah, there's something there, but 1% is like, that's it. You know it when you see it. You know, it's like within the first 10 seconds. Breck shaved his head for the part, so he walked in completely bald-headed.
I had a really strong feeling that this character would be really clean and bald, and that's what I wanted to show him. So I shaved my head and went in and got the part.
Jonathan Breck.
He's a very nice-looking guy, but once he took his hair away, he didn't look nice anymore. His eyes just kind of burned out at you, and he was very intimidating. And when he first came in and did the sniff test, we called it, you know, we were scared, really scared.
Victor and Brad Parker had been working on designs, from what I understand, for about 8 months. By the time they came to us to ask us to build stuff, they already had a design for the creature pretty well locked down. They knew what they wanted, and it was our job to take it and make changes to it so that it was practical to do on a human being. The script originally said that the creature has facial wings that open up, so we were trying to design a series of wrinkles and things that we could somehow make it believable.
Having somebody who's basically encased in a creature costume and shooting in a humid, warm environment is always a challenge.
For the creeper, we built 5 complete suits and then about 10 masks, both stunt masks and masks that Jonathan Breck wears, as well as numerous prosthetic appliances that we use for the closer days when they're going to be shooting close-up.
Jonathan has gone to great lengths to not get to know our actors on the set at all. So when the kids first are revealed to the creature, it is on set, on camera.
Victor is very shot specific. When he lines up to do something, he knows exactly what he wants to see, and thank God for that, because then we can adjust what we need to do. If we know that the creature is going to be squatting down over a victim, then we can make sure that there aren't any weird imperfections showing on the backside of the suit or up his crotch, or areas where there would be tension on the rubber and it would look strange. We'd see it stretching like a rubber suit and not looking like flesh over muscles. He already had a ponytail type hair piece in the back of the design before we were involved, so I wanted to incorporate patches of hair into like the groin, the crotch area that we could easily hide flaps. It patches up the back to hide zippers and bring some more hair onto the body and give it something interesting to look at. Victor is very attentive. He's very alert, and when he hears a comment and he likes it, he'll work with it. In one case, once he finally saw Jonathan in the complete suit when we did like a dress rehearsal for him, he thought, wow, maybe we should show more of the creature in its entirety, because originally the end of the film was the only time we saw the creature as his true form, whether it be a demon or a gargoyle or whatever you want to call it. That was very late in the film. But once Victor saw the suit, he was like, I want to see more of this in the film. I don't want to keep him in his clothing.
I can take credit for the idea of this creature, and I did get to make the final decisions on its look, but without Brad and then Brian, you know, those are the guys that really delivered a truly original and indelible creature to the movie, and for that I am, you know, forever grateful.